like Ted Gunderson, ex-FBI chief in California, and many others. And then later we're going to talk about Proposition 2. You'll definitely want to stay tuned for that. Coming up this Saturday is the election, May 2nd, an absolute scam of biblical proportions. Of course, this is the way money's made nowadays, and politics get dirtier and dirtier. They have a lot of useful idiots in the environmental movement that think they're doing it for the environment, but it's all a bunch of big New York foundations and things that are pulling all the strings. And guess what? The Nature Conservancy, SOS, and of course, the Sierra Club, all are going to get real estate bonuses, just like real estate agencies. What is 6% of 65 plus million? And that's only up front. Then they get to decide and divvy up who gets to build on the property that they're going to buy. We'll get into that. The Austin American Statesman, I can't believe that Bill Elshire, the Commissioner's Court, is actually bringing out some of the corruption. He usually does that, though. He talks about the corruption, but then later sides with it. He wants to act like he's an open-minded person. Or maybe I'm wrong about Bill Elshire. He's a little bit better, despite the fact that he's tried to obstruct free speech down at the Commissioner's Court. He is even on the cover of yesterday's Statesman discussing this. And then we'll talk about Time magazine. Came out a couple weeks ago. Leaders and revolutionaries. And they talk about how Lenin wasn't that bad of a guy in here. And they also tell you how Clinton's being sweet to his wife in here. They show a nice photograph of them and what a good guy he is. And then I'm going to make the analogy later about the Free Tibet movement, which sounds good on the surface, don't they? There's one problem. The Chinese killed 1,100,000 conservatively over the last 30 years in Tibet of Tibetan monks and children and women. President Clinton has embraced China like no American president has ever done since Richard Nixon. I was down on George Bush for embracing them, but he couldn't have embraced them half as bad as President Clinton has. And I see these people all over town, and they'll have a Free Tibet sticker on their car. And then right next, they'll have a Clinton Gore sticker on their car. These people are feel-good idiots. Same as your modern environmentalists, which are just socialists. And by the way, I have from the Chronicle here. From this week's Chronicle, I have some quotes I'll read later. That's coming up in the next hour, in the last 30 minutes of the program, where they openly spout off about how only rich people can afford to live in the hills, so we should make them pay for it. These are your socialists. These are your unhappy parasite people who never get a piece of the pie once their leadership comes to power. No, they're the first ones to be thrown in the brig because they don't want those type of revolutionaries around. We'll talk about socialism, communism. We'll talk about Prop 2 that you should vote down this Saturday. You can't have an effect by voting on this local issue. So get out there and vote this Saturday. Vote down all the bonds. Vote them down, vote them down, vote them down. I'm the first person to care about the environment. And I'm not in the hip pocket of some developer. But I'm telling you right now, this has nothing to do with the environment. They plan to subdivide this land and build on it afterwards. And they're going to use your $65 million to do it. And then they're going to make a bunch of money. Now let's get into the main subject tonight for the next 45, 50 minutes. Steve Lane's going to be in later.
Hello, folks. It's Mike Hansen here. Sorry to interrupt your viewing here on YouTube or Facebook, but I just wanted to remind you to push that subscribe button there on Mike Hansen Archives on YouTube. We also have Hansen Archives. Our new ones are Waco Archives, Joyce Isaacs Archives, and Trailer Park Show Archives right here on YouTube. And to support this station, be sure to look at one of our ads on this station here and send $25 and we'll send you a signed copy of Bohemia Grove Cult of Conspiracy, written by myself, Mike Hansen. And if you would like to write us, our address is P.O. Box 481, Gonzales, Texas 78629. Our phone number is 830-672-3089. All right, be sure to hit that subscribe button right there to your right or left. on YouTube. And if you'd like to join me on Facebook, it's Mike Hansen from Gonzales, Texas. All right, back to 25 years ago. Hope y'all are enjoying the show. Thanks a lot, and God bless.
It is the best and most comprehensive book on Bohemian Grove, and it's written by Mike Hansen, my old camera guy. Mike Hansen Archives. But first of all, he wanted to make room, since we're in the mini studio, for Jan Barstow. She's an advocate for children now, simply because her children have run into some trouble with abusive behavior, and the establishment isn't helping because, again, you have pedophile rings all across the country. It is the forte of dilettantes and bureaucrats and their controllers. And then, of course, we have a lot of other information that's going to come out about what has been transpiring. Now, here's Linda Wiegand. Her story is probably one of the most publicized, well-documented. Ted Gunderson's come to her aid, ex-FBI chief again. People like, just a whole myriad of individuals have come forward to stand up against the corruption that's been happening. Thanks a lot for being here this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. Why don't you go ahead and just give people a real quick crash course, then talk about her local problem, Jan's local problem.
Sure.
And then we'll get just answer some questions, then we'll get Stephen here to co-host with me.
That would be great. First of all, in America today, we have 16 million children being sexually abused every day. It's an incredible epidemic. And actually, I think there should be an article written or a book that's called The Rape of Our Children, Court-Ordered Rape in America. It's just incredible. Every 2 seconds, a child is being sexually abused. And I don't mean that, daddy touched our knee or mommy spanked me. I mean serious, heinous sexual abuse. Now, why is this happening? This is a generational epidemic. In other words, a mother or father has been sexually abused. They pass it on to their children. They sexually abuse other children. The average pedophile in their lifetime sexually abuses 250 children on average. That means that every so many months, at the very, very least, another child is abused by a pedophile, and usually repeatedly abused. And this is just incredible. We must stop this. If we do not stop our children from being abused, we will lose our future. We will have a whole group of pedophiles running the country, both men and women, who are just social degenerates. You can't allow this to happen.
Let's give people some quick history. All through history, it has been the sport of people in power. I use this example many times. Nero had a huge salon with 140, 150 boys at any one time. He would come in and strangle one in the morning, kill one in the evening. This is what we're talking about. It's gone all through history. It's highly protected and left alone. The media will give you the occasionally highly publicized case to make you think they're doing a good job. Some little girl who was locked in a basement for 5 years or something. They'll show you that, but we don't have enough time not to get totally into it about Linda Wiegand's story and others, but it's all documented. I've had it here on the show before. I've run the Ted Gunderson Chronicles. I think it's ran a couple of weeks ago. 4 hours of documentation about what's going on with this, about the satanic cults that deal in this, and it's very serious. Just real fast, why don't we get into Jan Barstow's case?
Sure. Well, people might know why I got involved. I'd just like to say a little bit. My children, John and Ben, have been sexually abused and are being court-ordered to live with their abusers. So I travel around the country to different organizations and speaking about child sexual abuse. I was down here this weekend because Jan Barstow has 2 little boys who are being sexually abused, and the evidence, the records are just making me very angry right now.
Well, let's go back to your case real fast.
Yes.
You had your first son, and then you got married to a man who came from a wealthy family. And why don't you tell him the state?
Yes, in Connecticut.
And you didn't know for about a year and a half. Suddenly it started showing up. You took him to medical people. They said, yes, this is massive sexual abuse with bleeding and other things. And you found out that this man, which tells his name?
Tom Wilkinson.
Tom Wilkinson, again, it's documented in the March issue of the Free American.
Yes.
He sat there and they fully controlled the judges. You found out. Tell them about the society of pedophiles that controls the city.
Well, it's incredible. No one's ever seen anything like this. We have judges, social services, police officers. all kinds of professionals in key positions protecting pedophiles. And the question is, how much money is, what are the checks that are being written, or what are the acts that they're participating in?
And this is a network across the country, a subculture.
Yes, absolutely.
And it tends to be a taste for really rich people and people.
That's right. Well, what happens, it's a very elite culture. These people are bored with normal sexual acts. They have nothing to do with their money, so they're buying and selling children. And this ties into pornography, this ties into child sexual abuse, all kinds of things. When Ted Gunderson came out, he investigated this case. He said this is the worst case of cover-up and child sexual abuse he's ever seen in his 47 years of investigative work. And as people might know me as the mom who Bo Greitz, the Patriot leader, got arrested over coming to interview for his show. He came out to interview me for his radio show and was arrested for $1 million bail, he and his son, and they were put in prison in Connecticut and held there for 3 days.
Now, first of all, let's tell people about Colonel Bo Greitz, the most decorated living soldier, Vietnam veteran, Congressional Medal of Honor winner, sterling record, AM/FM radio host, shortwave radio host, all over the country. Gets the documents, sees the case, medical records, comes out with his son, who's older, to investigate. And your son was not in the vehicle, your sons. They simply pulled him over on their way to your place from the airport and said, you're in town to kidnap, you're in Linda Wiegand's car.
Yes.
And now he's facing federal prison.
He's facing 25 to 40 years in prison, he and his son, for coming to have lunch with me. I mean, that's cemented it nationally if there's a problem.
The actual case numbers and everything were in that issue.
Yes. Bo has been a hero with Bo's involvement, for a really long time, protective parents, and this is not men versus women. This is protective parents versus abusive parents, and for a very, very long time, the abuse of children and the annihilation of the protective parents' lives have been kept in the closet. It's either been too painful for people to acknowledge, or it has been just swept under the carpet.
Let's take the John Benet Ramsey case.
Yes.
I just heard on the news the other day, their parents skip off. The police come, she has blood, she has semen. Suddenly they don't want to bring out the records. The police all back off because I believe, I'm going from memory here, that the husband was a wealthy defense contractor. They fly off suddenly to Spain where there's no extradition. The little girl is dead. They had her in all these little beauty pageants at 3 years old. The father was always flying off to Europe where pedophilia is just rampant. He was big into this. It's documented, and the authorities aren't going to let this wealthy mid-level establishment person get caught, are they?
No, absolutely. I think it's, how much money do you have? Can you afford justice? That's what's happening. They have the money to escape prosecution. They have the money to buy judges. They have the money to buy police officers. This cannot be just completely, baffling a case and buffoonery.
Well, the documents look like that in the John Benet Ramsey case. The police had it. They thought, and suddenly they leave him alone.
Well, there's overwhelming evidence that hasn't even come out in the public about the John Benet Ramsey case. The forensic psychiatrist on the case happens to be working on the John and Ben case on sexual abuse. And I've heard that...
So they have these special people that drift around being specialists and telling you, oh, this is normal, this is no big deal.
No, actually...
Oh, he's actually good?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, a good person. They do have their own little cult of...
Well, you told me on the radio Saturday.
Absolutely. There are two guys that I would like to expose nationally, and that's Richard Gardner and Ralph Underwager. Gardner has sexually abused his own child, and from what I've heard, when she was... There's
Bo
our friend
Greitz.
Bo. And Bo gets a Medal of Honor, the John and Ben Medal of Honor, for putting his life on the line and his son to help me save my boys. Because through him, so many people, patriots and just people, have come out of the war.
He is the original knight in shining armor. Fought for his country, wounded, showed uncommon valor, goes to Ruby Ridge, goes to all these places where people are being abused. Who was the lady, my memory, who was shot with rubber bullets? She wouldn't leave her house.
Shirley Allen.
He goes everywhere. He's a defender. Doesn't have to do it. Doesn't look for publicity. Spends his own money on this. And he's treated like garbage. But
yes,
I'm sorry. Go ahead and tell us about Jan's case.
Why I'm here is I came down to speak at the Capitol. Jan had a rally, Don't Take Our Children, to say that protective parents, including Jan, have lost their children. And why I've asked that Jan be here tonight with us is that this is an Austin case. This is a case of two little boys. Those are my children, John and Ben. John's in the red shirt and Ben's in the darker shirt. John is now 12 and Ben is 9. My own children have testified that they're being sodomized at knife point, and they let the children go home after they depose them. But going back,
beaten by baseball bats, bruises.
Yes.
Photographs of this, and then it's not allowed into evidence.
Absolutely. You know, there's incredible, in each one of these cases, there's just incredible substantiation of evidence. Now, in Jan's case, Jan, how old are your children now?
They're now 5 and 3.
And when was the first time, how did you know that there might be something wrong, that there might have been sexual abuse in your household?
Oh, it took a while for me to be convinced that it might really be happening. I started getting fears when Sterling was about 15 months old. He was masturbating, a very grown-up style. And he would pick up a sock or a napkin and dab afterwards as though he was wiping off an ejaculate, but there was no ejaculate there. It's just his mimicking. His behaviors were not something that little children do.
And then there are all kinds of records that he would act out with his teddy bear and put the teddy bears in, take two complementary teddy bears and put them in opposite places, and he did all kinds of things in the shower, in the bathtub. I mean, just incredible behaviors that a little 2-year-old child or 3-year-old child just does not know unless they've experienced these things. And in Austin, Texas, this is a case where people can get involved. These children were taken away from their mother at a court hearing. Jan was nursing a 10-year-old child. 10-month-old child, sorry.
No, 10-year-old.
We were talking about that earlier, that
we
might
don't have
been odd.
teleprompters. We don't have teleprompters like Peter Jennings. We're not quite as believable.
Right.
I really gonna help America. I'm reading off a little screen underneath the camera.
10-month-old child, and this child is ordered to be taken away from her. And I am not a proponent of man versus woman. I want to be very clear. In this case, however, it appears to be that the man is the abuser. And, you know, she was only allowed to nurse her son in the mornings and then twice a week. I mean, how does a judge get involved in how a mother can nurse their child? That's just the beginning of the abuses that I see.
Well, what it comes down to is, and you have to admit that, and I am for real feminists, you know, real strong women, and I see a lot of women being divided by these issues, but this is an issue where, and I've seen the actual numbers, and it's just a fact, even with violent crime, you name it, men are more aggressive, and if a man doesn't attain success, I guess, in life or whatever, a lot of times they do want to prey on children, and because they can control them, and it's a power thing. And we have seen this over and over again where this happens, and isn't it in like 90-something% of the cases it's men abusing children?
Yes, it's about 95% of the cases. And you know what's very interesting about the pedophiles that are the parent of the child, most of them are heterosexual. And then just to
Mike's over there crawling around. I'm sorry, go ahead.
They do these crimes against children because of the need for power and violence, not the need to satisfy their sex drive.
Yeah, basically they can't stand the beauty and the dynamic nature of a real woman. I myself can't appreciate it. No, seriously. And no, it's just the sickest type of filth. And I'm not normally a violent person, but I tell you, if I knew where these people lived, I would have trouble not taking a shotgun over, because I don't like these people. And I know they're out there. I have a 10-year-old sister, and I don't appreciate the fact that these predators are being allowed to run loose, that more and more milk carton kids every day. It's disgusting.
Yes, it is. They're taking about 100,000 children a year, just disappear. I mean, where are these kids going to? Well, they're
going for snuff films and pornography.
They sure are. Their bodies are being emptied of their organs, and they're being used to run drugs in from the Mexican border.
This has been documented.
Absolutely. They're being flown overseas. We have plane loads of children going over to France.
That's what they do. And Ted Gunderson has the actual federal documents that the CIA and the Justice Department stopped the investigation back in 1987, I believe. They fly kids over from Europe. They fly American kids over to Europe. They fly them from east to west coast, west to east coast. They transfer, this has even been in the news, they transfer pornography from one end of the country to the other end of the country.
Absolutely. And we even have evidence, we have documented evidence in this case of a tie to what's called the Anthroposophic Society. And we have an investigator who came forward with an affidavit who said that he has seen these people who are involved in this case, not necessarily my ex-husband, but in the Anthroposophic Society, have child sex rings, sell children on an auction block, manacle and chain children together and then sexually abuse them. I mean, terrible, terrible stories. There are some of the sexual abuse pictures that my children have drawn. This is a picture my son, my little son, drew at 4 years old. I mean, how does a child draw that picture and not have any implication? That's a picture of oral sex, clearly. And those are pictures that drawn for the police, drawn for prosecutors. They've had an
I am out of range. I must get closer.
suit our people well.
Greetings.
Farewell.
What's up? Be good. I have many, many wares.
Tell me of your travels.
What do you want, stranger? I am
This land is ours. It just doesn't know it yet. Find the Alliance.
You may
My
give me
axe
soldiers' quarters
hungers.
at your discretion, but we are not.
Hello. Keep the peace.
Hatred would engulf this land. We will have no part in this. I must go. There are others who have landed on our southern shore.
You have the eyes of one who has traveled much. Slow down. Life is to be savored.
hero like you. Tell me a story.
Welcome.
Oh, hello.
Slow down.
Hi there.
Hi there. Bye-bye.
Greetings. Welcome. I hope to see you again soon. Tell me of your travels.
your time. Blood and thunder. Our orders stand, no matter the cost.
Time is money, friend.
Nothing shall stand in our way. Their leader is still in hiding. Find him! You are making quite an impression with the local hosen. I dare say they are starting to fear you. You must be one of those folk from that sky. Please find me in the Cave of Words, just up the hill here, when you have time to speak. A visitor. This is an incredible time